And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much.
There is a question circulating inside royal circles right now that nobody at Buckingham Palace wants asked out loud. What happens to Camilla on the day William becomes king? Because according to royal commentators, the answer is not the one Charles wants to hear. And the person who may matter most in that answer is not William. It is not Catherine. It is Princess Anne, the one member of the royal family who insiders have long claimed never fully warmed to Camilla, never softened, and never forgot. Today we are breaking down why commentators believe Diana's shadow has never been longer inside the palace than it is right now, why Charles is reportedly worried about his wife's future, and why the quiet alliance between William and his aunt may be the most important relationship in the monarchy today. Before we get into it, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you never miss a story like this one. To understand what is happening now, you have to go back to a single sentence spoken in 1995. Diana sat across from a BBC interviewer and said the words that would define the rest of her life. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. That was not a rumor. That was Diana herself, on camera, telling the world exactly what her marriage had become. The third person did not need to be named. Everyone already knew. Camilla Parker Bowles had been part of Charles's life before Diana, during Diana, and after Diana. And for the 2 boys growing up inside that collapsing marriage, that fact was not tabloid gossip. It was their childhood. But what Diana said publicly was nothing compared to what she wrote privately. And this is where the story turns genuinely dark. In October 1995, 2 years before her death, Diana handed a note to her solicitor, Lord Mishcon. In that note, she recorded her fear that her life was in danger, that a car accident might be arranged, brake failure, and serious injury. This is not speculation. The existence of that note is a matter of public record. It was handed to the Metropolitan Police after her death, and it sat there, largely unexamined, for 6 years before it finally reached the top of Scotland Yard and became part of the official Operation Paget inquiry. The inquiry ultimately found no evidence of any plot. But think about what those documents mean for a son. William grew up, became a man, and at some point had to absorb the fact that in the final years of her life, his mother was frightened enough to put those fears in writing. Whatever the official findings say, no child ever fully recovers from learning that, and that is when the shape of everything that followed starts to make sense, because the image the world can never forget is this one. September 1997. A 15-year-old boy in a dark suit walking behind his mother's coffin through the streets of London in front of 2 billion people with his face completely still. Harry was 12, walking beside him. Millions watched those boys that day and wondered what was happening behind those blank expressions. 26 years later, Harry finally told us. In his 2023 memoir, Harry wrote in black and white that he and William begged their father not to marry Camilla. He wrote that they feared she would be a wicked stepmother. Those are not the words of anonymous insiders. That is a prince publishing under his own name, describing what he and the future king said to their own father. Harry chose to say it publicly. William, as always, chose silence. But according to Harry's own account, they were standing side by side when they said it. And here is where the 2 brothers split into 2 completely different strategies. Harry exploded outward, interviews, documentaries, a memoir that shook the institution to its foundations. William did something colder, and commentators argue far more effective. He stayed inside the institution, and he started building. Watch what he has actually done with his position, because the pattern is unmistakable. In 2021, William stood beside the brother he barely speaks to anymore for one reason only: to unveil the statue of their mother in the sunken garden at Kensington Palace, the garden Diana loved on what would have been her 60th birthday. That statue was not the palace's idea. The brothers commissioned it themselves. William has kept Diana's causes stitched into his official life: homelessness through Centrepoint, the charity his mother took him to visit as a boy, mental health, the dispossessed, and the overlooked. When he launched his homelessness initiative, he spoke openly about his mother taking him to shelters as a child. Catherine, meanwhile, has taken on patronages and public moments that echo Diana so strongly that royal watchers point it out constantly, sometimes down to the jewelry. Diana's sapphire engagement ring sits on Catherine's hand. Diana's tiara appears on Catherine's head at state banquets. None of this is accidental. In an institution where every detail is choreographed, this is a message repeated year after year. Diana is not being erased. Diana is being restored, piece by piece, in full public view. Now add Princess Anne to this picture, because this is the part of the story that commentators believe Camilla finds hardest to ignore. Anne is the most respected working royal alive, the one who does more engagements than anyone, complains about nothing, and carries an authority inside the family that no title can manufacture. And for decades, royal biographers and palace watchers have described the relationship between Anne and Camilla the same way: correct, professional, and noticeably cool. There are long-standing reports of history between them, stretching back to the early 70s, before either marriage, and insiders have claimed for years that Anne is polite to Camilla in public and entirely unmoved by her in private. Anne belonged to Diana's generation of the family. She watched the whole story unfold from inside the walls: the wedding, the betrayal, the War of the Waleses, the funeral. And according to royal commentators, Anne's loyalty has always pointed in one direction, toward the institution and toward the line of succession, which means toward William, not toward the woman who married in. So when observers talk about a quiet alignment forming at the top of the royal family, this is what they mean. William, the future king, who by Harry's published account never wanted Camilla in the family at all. Anne, the institution's iron backbone, who reportedly never gave Camilla her warmth. And Catherine, carrying Diana's image back into every ceremonial space in Britain. Against that, Camilla has exactly one protector: Charles. And Charles is 77 years old and managing a cancer diagnosis that the palace has never fully detailed. Which brings us to the reports that should worry Camilla most. Multiple royal commentators have claimed that Charles is deeply concerned about what happens to Camilla after he is gone, and that he wants assurances her position and legacy will be protected. Think about what that actually tells you. Nobody seeks assurances about something they feel secure about. You do not beg for protection for your wife unless you know better than anyone how the next king truly feels about her. Charles spent 5 decades fighting to make Camilla acceptable to the public, to the church, to his own mother, and finally to have her crowned queen beside him. That coronation was the summit of the longest rehabilitation campaign in modern royal history. But a crown placed on your head by one king can be quietly hollowed out by the next. The moment William takes the throne, every detail of Camilla's royal existence, her title as Queen Dowager, her precedence, her funding, her place at state occasions, her presence on those palace walls, all of it will be decided by a man who walked behind his mother's coffin at 15 and, according to his own brother's book, begged his father not to marry her. And no one who has watched William operate believes he will make that decision loudly. That has never been his way. There will be no interview, no confrontation, no dramatic scene for the cameras. There will simply be a schedule that no longer includes her, communications that no longer mention her, a slow, polite, institutional fading of the kind the palace has perfected over centuries. The same quiet machinery that once pushed Diana's memory to the margins can be turned around and pointed in the other direction. And commentators believe William has spent his entire adult life learning exactly how to operate it. Here is the ending. Diana never got to see. She died believing the institution had chosen Camilla over her. She wrote down her fears and handed them to a lawyer because she did not trust the family she had married into. And for a while, it truly looked like she had lost. Camilla got the marriage. Camilla got the crown. But Diana got something Camilla can never take and Charles can never grant. She got the next king, and the king after that. Her blood sits first and second in line to the throne. Her face looks out from a statue in the garden she loved. Her causes fill her son's diary. Her ring shines on the next queen's hand, and her name is spoken with more official warmth today than at any point since 1997. Camilla fought 50 years for a crown she will hold only as long as Charles lives. Diana without ever fighting for it, would be present in that palace for the next 100 years. Her son made sure of it. And somewhere, you have to believe, she knows that the boy who walked behind her coffin grew up to be exactly the man she raised him to be.